Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the third session of Be a Speaker. And it's a very privilege that Jodhpur branch is organizing such an event for the student motivation and for the students to come forward to be as a speaker of the future chartered accountants. So in today's session, we have two more speakers of who have registered with us. One is Anmol Sehgal from Bhopal and second is Aman Srivasta from Jodhpur. Anmol will be talking about GST and Aman will be talking about success and passion. So without wasting much time, I hand over for today's eminent speaker of our GST, Anmol Sehgal. Anmol, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. Good evening, everyone. Hope you all are doing well, and a very happy Gandhi and Shastri Jayanti to everyone who is attending this session. I'll just share my screen. Sir, is it visible?
Yes, Anmol, visible.
Okay. So as you all may be aware that I'll be speaking on block credits under the GST regime. So to understand what are the block credits under the GST regime, we will have to first understand what is credit and what is the concept of credit under the GST regime. The term credit, or we can say input tax credit, refers to the credit of input tax paid on inward supplies of goods or services used by a registered person. So if a person receives any goods or services and he pays GST on it, uh, he is allowed to avail the credit of the input tax which he has paid on the goods or services. So the provisions of GST Act which allow the person to avail credit under the GST regime are Section 16 and Section 17 talks about the apportionment and block credits. So Section 16(1) of Cgst Act says that every registered person shall be eligible to avail input tax credit on any supply of goods or services received by him in the course or furtherance of business, and the said amount shall be credited to the electronic credit ledger of such person, provided he has furnished returns and he has fulfilled the conditions as mentioned in Section 16(2). So talking about Section 16 subsection 2, Section 16 subsection 2 talks about the various conditions which a taxpayer has to fulfill before availing the credit of input tax paid by him on inward supplies. So the conditions are the possession of a tax invoice. A person, in order to avail credit of the input tax, must have the possession of a tax invoice or either the debit note issued by the registered supplier from whom he has availed such goods or services. He has purchased such goods or services, more better. And then the supplier should have furnished the details of the invoice or debit note in the statement of outward supplies. Like if the supplier had furnished the details of such invoice or debit note, the same would be reflecting in the GSTR 2A or GSTR 2B of the taxpayer. GSTR 2A refers to the auto-populated details of inward supplies, and GSTR 2B is an ITC statement, which is a static statement generated on the GST portal on 13th day of every month, every following month. And GSTR 2A is a dynamic auto-populated return, which keeps on updating from time to time as and when the supplier updates the details. And then the third condition is that the goods and services should have been received. And the fourth condition is that the actual tax should be paid to the government by the supplier. So these the second condition and the fourth condition are interrelated. If the person has furnished the details, it is obvious that he should have paid the tax to the government. And then the fourth condition is the taxpayer should have furnished the returns under Section 39, that is our monthly returns, GSTR 1 and GSTR 3B. So talking practically, a person can avail input tax credit only after furnishing GSTR 3B, because he enters the details of credit which he is allowed to take in the particular month through GSTR 3B. So there are two more three provisos rather. in section 16.2, which talk about the restriction on the availability of credit. The first proviso is that when the goods or services are received in lots or installment, the taxpayer will be allowed to take the credit of input tax only when the only after the receipt of the last lot or installment. So when the goods, so to summarize, when the goods and services are fully received by the taxpayer, only then the said taxpayer can avail the credit of input tax paid by him. And then the second proviso is if the recipient fails to pay the consideration to the supplier within 180 days from the within 180 days, then the ITC will have then the said ITC which he has availed in the GSTR 3B will have to be added to the output tax liability of the said taxpayer who has availed the credit. So this is section 16.2. Further, section 16.3 says that when a person has claimed depreciation on the tax component of the purchased capital goods under the Income Tax Act, he is not allowed to take credit of input tax under GST. And further, section 16.4 talks about the time limit, the limitation on availing the credit of input tax, which enshrines that a taxpayer can avail credit of input tax only of a particular invoice or debit note only till the due date of monthly return under section 39 of the September month of the following return. For example, if I want to avail credit of any invoice or debit note issued in the financial year 2020-2021, I will be eligible to take input tax credit only till 20th October 2021, which is the due date for furnishing GSTR 3B. And there are two dates mainly, and the earlier will be considered. The second one is the date of furnishing annual return. For example, if I furnish the annual return for financial year 2020-2021 on let's say 1st October, so I will not be allowed to take credit on 20th October. I will have to take credit only till 1st October. So the time limit will be the earliest of annual due date of annual return for the said financial year, or the due date of furnishing return under section 39 for September month of the following financial year. So this was it regarding the availability of credit. Now talking about the apportionment and block credit under the GST, and section 17 of the Cgst Act 2017 talks about block credit and apportionment of credit. So to have a background, what is block credit? Block credit is is a credit which refers to the input tax which cannot be availed by the taxpayer even after fulfilling all the required conditions enshrined under section 16 of the Cgst Act. So section 17 talks about various subsections which enshrine the availability of input tax credit for a particular taxpayer. So talking about section 17, the subsection 1 of section 17 says that a registered person can avail the credit of input tax paid by him only to the extent to which he has used the particular goods or services for the purpose of business. So example, if a person has purchased certain goods or services or availed certain services, he can partly for the purpose of business and partly for other purposes, he can claim the credit to the component which is used for the purpose of business only. So let's take an example. If a person has paid rent for a particular building consisting of 2 floors, one of which is used for business purpose and the other one is used for a residential purpose, the said person will be eligible to claim input tax credit only for the floor which he has used for business purpose, and for residential purpose it will be ineligible. So this was subsection 17, 1 of section 17. And further talking about subsection 2 of section 17. which says that goods or services used for the purpose of making partly exempt and partly taxable supplies. So if a person has supplied exempt goods as well as taxable supplies, he'll be eligible to claim the input credit of input tax paid on only to the extent of taxable supplies, to the proportion of taxable supplies rather. Uh, let's take an example to understand it in a more better way. For example, if Mr. R is a rice manufacturer and uh, he has supplied the following services in the month of August 2021. Rice bran, which is the taxable supplies, on which 5% rate of tax is applicable, and the taxable value of the said supply is 2,50,000 rupees. Rice bran, which is again taxable, but being a zero rated supply or an export without payment of tax under a letter of undertaking, to the taxable value of such supplies is 5 lakh rupees. And the plain rice which are exempt, HSN being 1006. So the taxable value of such supplies is 7 lakh rupees. And further, the input tax credit which he can avail in the month of August 2021 uh, is uh, is IGST to the extent of 5,750, CGST to the extent of 25,150, and same is SGST. So, talking about Mr. R, as we can see, he has taxable supplies, zero rated supplies, and exempt supplies. So, he'll be eligible to claim credit of only taxable supplies, that is rice bran plus rice bran, which is a domestic supply, and rice bran, which is a zero rated supplies. And he'll not be allowed to take credit to the extent of outward supplies of outward exempt supplies. So taking the proportion of exempt supplies and taxable supplies, so the taxable turnover constitutes 52% of the total turnover in the month of August 2021. Therefore, Mr. R will be eligible to claim credit to the extent of 52% of the total common eligible ITC that is available to him, which is calculated like here. So certain crucial points about section 17.2 is that while calculating the taxable turnover, we will have to include zero rated supplies also, because zero rated supplies are taxable supplies actually. However, being an export without payment of tax, there is no payment of tax on it, but it is a taxable supply. And furthermore, section 17.3 says that the value of exempt supply shall also include the supplies on which the recipient is liable to pay tax under reverse charge basis. So while calculating the value of taxable turnover, we will have to include taxable supplies and zero rated supplies, and we will have to exclude exempt supplies and the supplies on which recipient is liable to pay tax. So this was it. And further, talking about section 17.4 of Cgst Act 2017, which says that a banking company or a financial institution, including an NBFC, engaged in supplying services by way of accepting deposits, extending loans or advances, will have the option to either comply with the provisions of subsection 2, or they can avail amount equal to 50% of the eligible input tax credit paid on inputs, capital goods, and input services, and the rest of the ITC which they could have availed shall lapse. Further, talking about section 17.4, if the option to avail 50% of the credit is once exercised, it shall not be withdrawn for the remaining part of financial year. However, in the next financial year, they can switch to the other option as well. And further, talking about subsection 5 of section 17, which lists down a lot of type of goods and services on which a person will not be allowed to take credit of input tax paid by him. The first one is the section 17.5 clause A, which talks about motor vehicles for transportation of passengers having approved capacity of less than or equal to 13%. So if a motor vehicle for transportation of persons having approved capacity of more than 13% is purchased by a taxable person, the said taxable person will not be allowed to take credit of the input tax paid by him on such procurements. So there are certain exceptions to the said clause, uh, which are as follows. For the supply of if a person has purchased such motor vehicles having approved capacity of more than 13% for further supply of such motor vehicles, or for transportation of passengers, or for imparting training or driving such motor vehicles, then he can avail the credit, provided there should be these three outward supplies by him. And further, talking about section 17.5 clause AA, vessels and aircraft, except when they are used for making for the following taxable supplies: further supplies of such vessels or aircraft, transportation of passengers, imparting training or on navigating such vehicles, imparting training on flying such aircraft. So if a person has purchased vessels and aircraft for further supply of vessels or aircraft, transportation of passengers, imparting training on navigating such vessels, or imparting training on flying such aircraft, then he can avail the credit. And the rest of the cases, he will not be allowed to take the credit of the input tax paid by him on such procurements. Further, if the vessels are and aircrafts are used for transportation of goods, he will be eligible to take credit of the input tax paid by him on such procurements. And also, if the services of general insurance, servicing, repairs, and maintenance are availed on the motor vehicles referred to in section 17.5A, and the vessels and aircraft referred to in section 17.5AA, the credit of the input tax shall not be available on such goods except for the purposes uh, specified here and for the purposes specified here. Also, there are two more purposes for which such services of general insurance, servicing, repairs, and maintenance is allowed, on which the credit of input tax on services of general insurance, servicing, repairs, and maintenance is allowed. The said two exceptions are if the services of general insurance, servicing, and repairs and maintenance are used in the manufacture of such motor vehicles, vessels, or aircraft, or to further supply of such general insurance services in respect of such motor vehicles, vessels, or aircraft insured by him. So this is the summary of section 17.5A, section 17.5AA, and section 17.5AB, which can be summarized as input tax credit in relation to motor vehicles or aircraft. ITC on such purchases will be allowed only if it is availed for these three specified purposes, and ITC on general insurance, servicing, or repairs and maintenance can be availed only if the such services are availed for these three purposes. Further, talking about section 17.5 clause B, which says that following suppliers of goods or services or both will not on the following supplies of goods or services or both, the credit of input tax paid by the said taxpayer will not be allowed. The first thing is food and beverages, outdoor catering, beauty treatment, health services, cosmetic and plastic surgery, leasing, renting, or hiring of motor vehicles, vessels, or aircraft referred to in clause A or clause AA to section 17.5, except when they are used for the purposes specified therein. These are the purposes which are specified herein. So for the renting or hiring of these motor vehicles, vessels, or aircraft, the ITC will be eligible if the said ITC is used for the purposes specified here. And then The ITC on food and beverages, outdoor catering services, beauty treatment, health services, and cosmetic and plastic surgery will not be eligible, will not be allowed to the set taxpayer. Further, if such ITC is used for further supply of such services, then the taxpayer can claim the credit of the input tax paid by him. In the rest of the cases, he will not be allowed to take the credit of the input tax. And then membership of a club, health and fitness center, and travel benefits extended to employees on vacation, such as leave or home travel concession. These credits will not be allowed to be availed by the taxpayer, only provided that the ITC on such goods or services are used for the purposes which are obligatory under law, which are obligatory for an employer to provide to employees under any law for the time being in force. For example, if there is in the time of COVID, there was a notification by MHA that an employer will have to avail the services of medical insurance of his employees. So if a registered taxpayer would have taken the services of medical insurance for the employees for such period for which the MHA guideline was applicable, the credit would have been applicable to the said taxable person. Now, since the MHA guideline is uplifted, the said tax input tax credit on medical insurance will not be available to the taxpayer. And further, talking about section 17(5) clause C, which talks about works contract services for when supplied for construction of an immovable property, except when it is an input service for further supply of works contract services. For example, if a person has availed credit of works contract services for supply of for construction of their own immovable property like office building, etc., then the taxable person will not be eligible to take the credit of input tax. But if a particular person has availed the works contract services for further construction of an immovable property of another person, then such taxpayer can avail the credit of works contract services. Further, talking about section 17(5) clause D, which talks about goods and services used for construction of an immovable property on own account. These two sections are interrelated. The one not interrelated, but these are similar. First one talks about the works contract services availed by the taxpayer, and the second one talks about the goods and services used by the taxpayer for construction of an immovable property on own account. Also, if the term construction has been defined under the Goods and Services Act, which says that the expression construction will include reconstruction, renovation, additions or alteration or repairs to the extent of capitalization. So if a particular if a particular service of works contract services has been availed, or goods or services are purchased by that said taxpayer and the same is capitalized in the books, the input tax credit will not be availed. Also, on the other hand, if the same is not capitalized but is charged to P&L, the same will be allowed to be taken by the said taxable person. Also, the expression plant, other than we should note that there are certain exceptions, like for construction of an immovable property, but other than plant and machinery. Like if works contract services are availed for construction of an immovable property, but such immovable property will not include plant and machinery. So the term plant and machinery is also defined in the Cgst Act 2017, which means apparatus, equipment and machinery fixed to earth by foundation or structural support that are used for making outward supplies of goods or services or both, and include such foundation and structural supports, but excludes land and building or other civil structure, telecommunication towers and pipelines led outside the factory premises. So if works contract services or goods or services used for construction of plant and machinery have been availed by a taxpayer, the input tax credit will be allowed. However, for other purposes if the same is capitalized by the taxpayer, the input tax credit will not be allowed to the said taxpayer. Furthermore, talking about section 17 5 clause E, which says that a taxable person registered under section 10 composition scheme cannot avail the benefit of input tax credit on the inward supplies of goods or services. So if a person is registered under composition scheme, he cannot avail ITC. Also, if a person is registered as a non-resident taxable person, NRTP, he is not allowed to take input tax credit of goods and services except on the goods imported by him. So a person registered as a non-resident taxable person can avail credit of goods imported by, can avail the credit of IGST on goods imported by him. However, he cannot avail the credit on other in other category. Also, section 17(5) clause G specifies that goods or services are both used for personal consumption. So section 17(5)(g) and section 16(1) are somewhere interrelated. Since section 16(1) says that goods or services input tax credit on goods and services used in the course or furtherance of business will be allowed to be taken as credit by a taxable person, and section 17(5)(g) says that the goods or services used by the person for personal consumption, the input tax paid on such goods or services will not be availed. So these two provisions are interrelated among themselves. So section 17(5)(h) says that goods lost, stolen, destroyed, written off, or disposed of by way of gift or free samples. So if goods are lost, stolen, destroyed, written off, the said input tax credit will either have to be reversed if the same has been availed previously by the taxpayer, or if the same is not availed by the taxpayer, the same will not be allowed to the taxpayer. Also, section 17(5)(i) says that any tax paid in accordance with section 17(4), section 17(4), section 129, and section 130 of the Central Goods and Services Tax Act 2017 will not be allowed to be taken by as a credit by a taxpayer. So talking about section 17(4), section 129, and section 130, section 17(4) involves tax paid short paid due to fraud, and section 129 involves tax paid on detention and release of goods and conveyance in transit. Further, section 130 involves tax paid on confiscation of goods or conveyance and levied of penalty thereof. So these were the block credits under the GST regime, which the input tax credit paid on these goods and services shall not be allowed to be taken as credit by a taxpayer. Also, to summarize the whole credits which I have talked about. The first condition, the credit which are not allowed to be taken, the input tax which is not allowed to be taken by as credit by a taxable person involves credit described in section 16 subsection 3 of Cgst Act 2017. Credit which is described in section 16(4) of Cgst Act 2017. Credit which is described in section 17, whole section 17 of the Cgst Act 2017. Also talking about GST rules, there is a provision in Cgst rules 2017, which is rule 36(4), which restricts the availability of input tax credit to a person. So if a person has if a person is proposing to avail credit of a list of invoices, the set invoices should be reflecting on his GSTR 2A and 2B. If such invoices are not reflecting, the said taxpayer can take credit to the extent of only 5% of the credit which is appearing in his GSTR2 in his auto-populated returns GSTR 2A and GSTR 2B. So if the credit is not appearing in GSTR 2A and 2B, the said taxable person can not avail credit more than 5% of the credit which is actually appearing in the said returns. So So this was it from my side. If anyone has any doubt, you can ask. Thank
Okay,
you.
Anmol. Okay, Anmol, thank you. Uh, Wonderfully speak about GST. Okay, so now we like to invite our second speaker for today. We'll take the questions afterwards, Anmol. Okay. Okay, and like to invite for second speaker for today, Aman Srivasta from Jodhpur. Aman is an active participant in Cgst Jodhpur. He is also a very popular face of our Cgst regular magazine. So please welcome our today's second speaker, Aman Srivasta from Jodhpur. Aman, over to you, brother.
Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful introduction. Am I audible?
Yes, brother, you are audible.
Thank you so much, sir. My sincerest gratitude extends to Cgst Jodhpur branch chairman, CA Mr. Dhavalji Kothari, sir, ICI Jodhpur chairman, CA Balveer Singh Ji Gehlot, sir, secretary, CA Ji Lunawat, sir, our technical engineer, Mr. Mohiburji Rahman, sir, members of the managing committee, and all my dear professional colleagues. Few weeks ago, as I was attending one of the CA webinar and seminar, in which the Board of Studies chairman, Mr. Jayacharya sir, said a very impressive thing about CA students, that we, as a CA students, are very proficient in fields of accounting, taxation, auditing. We held different technical matters. But with the changing time, we need to become a 360-degree consultant. As this world grows, so we need to go beyond books and we need to explore the unexplored area. And events like these organized by Cgst Jodhpur branch is an initiative and a step towards this direction. And here I would like to take this opportunity to thank Cgst Jodhpur branch for giving us such a wonderful platform, not only to showcase our talents, but also to help growing as an individual. So let's get started with today's session. Let me just share the screen. One minute. Is the screen visible?
No, Aman.
No. Now the screen is visible.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Now it's visible completely.
Yes, Aman.
All right, thank you. So my very first question is that can we live without stress in our life? Can anybody answer this? Can we live without stress in our life?
Depends, Aman.
Yes, it depends.
We can
Certainly
try.
not. Yes, we can try. but we cannot be certain. According to the results of the large-scale survey conducted across India in 2020, majority of people, about 28%, was stressed because of COVID-19 and its health-related issues. About 27% was stressed for their financial stability in that period. Not only this, if you talk about previous year's data of COVID-19, close to 82% of Indians suffered from stress on account of work, health, finance, and other related issues. Ladies and gentlemen, nearly 9 out of 10 Indians suffer from stress. These figures are terrifying, and therefore we need to talk, we need to speak on such issues, to know its consequences and to become aware of such issues. A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and to all the eminent personalities present in today's session. Today, the subject matter on which I'll be sharing my thoughts upon is impact of stress on success. Last 1 year has been quite unprecedented for many of us. Not only in terms of financial and liquidity crunch, but also breakdown of our health, and especially our mental health. We all were surrounded by negative thoughts, as you can see in the slide, so much of thoughts, so much of negative thoughts, negative emotions, and those fueled the fire during such hard times. But nevertheless, some found a way of coming out of this adversity amidst the hard time. They found opportunities and balanced their emotions. They balanced themselves emotionally and mentally, and was successful in coming out from this adversity. With the onset of the pandemic, as the world we all know has now changed, COVID-19, quarantine, lockdown are the words that have suddenly become part of our everyday vocabulary. And as this pandemic continued to grow, so there's an anxiety, fear, stress, and depression, my dear friends. Stress, the most common 6-letter word that we all are familiar with since decades. Stress of getting good grades in examination, stress of getting dream job, stress of meeting sales target on time, stress of coming out of the situation, getting back to business, and the list continues. Stress, ladies and gentlemen, is not a disease. Yes, it is your response to a given situation. Yes, the way you respond to a given situation, to an adversity, decides how stressed you are. We cannot live a life without stress. But remember, it depends upon us how much of it we need to consume. You know that excess of anything is dangerous, and so does the stress. Human beings, by their very nature, try to quest for equilibrium and order in their lives. And when confronted with the situation that disrupt their order and equilibrium, they tend to feel the opposite. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, they're surrounded by negative thoughts and negative emotions. And hence, mental and emotional imbalance occurs. But stress is not always a bad thing, is it? Yes. In daily life, we often come across the term stress and use to describe it in such a negative way, associate with negative situation or negative emotions. And this lead to many people believe that stress is bad for you, which is not. You require positive stress. As you can see on your slide, it is eustress, a positive stress which motivates you, which improves your performance, your focus, your concentration, makes you feel excited. Starting a new job receiving promotions at work, making vacations, taking down vacations, winning a contest are some of the examples of positive stress that motivates you to work towards your goal. Ladies and gentlemen, when the sunlight, which is scattered all over the place, is focused and channelized, it has tremendous power and energy to accomplish so much. If you want to succeed in what you are doing, you need to bring your attention away from the scattered distractions around you. You need to bring your negative thoughts away from you. What is stress? It is those unwanted thoughts, those unwanted emotions going in your brain while you are working for your tasks, while you're preparing for your deadlines, while you are while you're working, while you're running towards your goal. You need to adjust your focus, ladies and gentlemen, and need to realign your vision. We need to eradicate the negative thoughts from our mind. Stress is dangerous. Deadline is all right. Pressure is all right. But stress, when exceeds the limit, it breaks you down completely. Why do you get stress? Because you don't know how to control your body. We don't know how to control our emotions. We don't know how to control our mind. Your focus tends to shift from the work that you're doing, from the task that you are trying to complete. And the moment your focus is shifted from your goal, from your main target, from your mind surrounded by negative and unwanted thoughts. वो कहते हैं ना कि हम भावनाओं में बह जाते हैं और बहते बहते इतनी दूर पहुंच जाते हैं कि वापस कैसे निकला जाए, we don't know. So why to go such deep? Why is there a need? Procrastination, overthinking are some of the reasons why we get stressed out. You know what is the problem? The problem is that the majority of people stuck to a situation. They stuck to one incident that happened somewhere past down in their lives, might be today, might be just a day before yesterday, or might be a few seconds ago. Be it good or bad. And a mind then took over our body suddenly. We are working for deadlines, we are preparing for exams, or we are preparing for an event. But, my dear friends, our mind, our emotions are still capturing those unwanted events, those unwanted situations, those unwanted conditions of what we have gone through in some part of our life. So how can you expect to get a grand success when you're busy with something else, when you are in past? You're working in the present, but busy in the past. So how can you complete your present work? We need to adjust our focus. We need to realign our vision towards the work that we are doing. There is a need, ladies and gentlemen, there is a need to strengthen the mind and body. And once done, the door of success is all open to you. But you know what we do? We end up taking too much of stress that we tend to become mentally and physically ill. Yes, as you can see on your screen, persistent stress contributes to your mental and physical illness. What happens? Your mind started working against you. Your body start working against you. Your emotion start working against you. You began to lose control over your body. And this happened with almost every individual. There is no one who has remained untouched by this stress. And this happens Because we tend to give up. Yes, my dear friends, we tend to give up. We all have learned an equation in science, if you could recall, that it's stress is equals to pressure upon resilience, right? If you could recall, go back in those times, stress is equals to pressure upon resilience. What is resilience? Can anyone tell me what is resilience?
To overcome from the ability to overcome from such problem or a failure.
Yes, thank you, Anmol. The power to deal with the pressure, as Anmol rightly mentioned. But nowadays, what we are doing, what we are doing is that we are ignoring the denominator. We are ignoring the resilience, and we are making equation as stress is equals to pressure, aren't we? That's the hard fact of life, and it's reality in today's world. We are changing the equation and making it as stress is equals to pressure. And what happens, ladies and gentlemen, when you fill a small glass with excess of water, the water will definitely flow from the glass. It will flow out from the glass. When you take undue pressure, your body, your mind, your behavior changes. As you can see in the slide, you start to feel irritated. You start to feel depressed. You want to be alone. Your habits change, right? Do you agree with me or not? Agreed? That your body changes, your mind changes, your habits changes when you take stress? Agree or not?
Yes, Aman.
Yes. The person who has not smoked starts smoking. The person who did not even touch the alcohol starts consuming it. Your body is not in your control. You start feeling low. Just tell me, why do we hear about the increase in suicide cases? Nowadays, we read in newspaper an increase in a number of suicide cases day by day. Person committing suicide just because he hasn't got his dream job, or because he did not succeed in his exams, or because of failure of his relationships in life, poor relationships, poor financial position, because he was not able to make up to that level, or I can say nowadays because he did not match up the society's level of expectations, right? It is all because we have changed the equation. We have removed the resilience, my dear friends, from our life. And the moment we remove the power to handle the pressure, the life seems to be a burden on us. You get distracted from the path of your success. And the moment you get distracted from the path of your success, everything in your life starts getting messed up. Everything seems muddled up in your life. My dear friends, your mind is like a magnet. If you attract positive vibes, you will get positive results. But if you sow, or if you have sown a seeds of negativity in your mind, then how do you expect a sweet ripened fruit from that plant in life? Isn't it? As you can correctly read on the slide, no one can destroy iron, but its own rust can. Likewise, no one can destroy a person, but his own mindset can. As I already mentioned in the beginning of my session, that stress is the response. It is your response to a given situation. The way you respond to a situation. It all the game of your mind. How you respond. How you take that situation in positive way or in negative way. Now, this really happens with almost every individual across the world. As I mentioned, eustress, that is the positive stress, is good for you. It motivates you. You take healthy tension. You're preparing for exams. You're motivated. You want to get a rank in this attempt. You want to get exemption in this attempt. You are focused. You are concentrated. And that's what eustress does. That is the role of eustress. That is optimum stress, right? At that time, you are healthy. Your performance is at peak level. But what happens when while studying, you start thinking about its result? You haven't feed the input, but you are worrying about the output. That what will be the output, what will be its shape, its size. Put the input first. When you will put the raw material into the machinery, then it will give you the desired output. But no, we want to know the output first, and then we want to start a performance. And the moment we start bothering about the future, we start bothering about the results instead of our efforts. You tend to overstress. You tend to take excess stress. Right? Your body starts feeling low. You become exhausted. Because you have crossed that border line. When you've crossed the boundary line of stress, then stress will take a toll upon your body and you. You feel anger, you feel anxiety, and ultimately you burn down and break down. Returning from an office, coming from your work, why you're angry, why you are why you are angry and why you are burning out on your family, because something that happened for which you're taking the stress, or something your boss has given you a deadline to complete the performance by say tomorrow evening. Still you have sufficient time to complete the target, to meet the deadline. But no, the moment from your office, the moment from your departure till your destination, there are a cluster of thoughts which are going in your mind repeatedly. How I will complete? What if I not complete the work? I'm sure this happens with almost everyone, and you all will agree to this. What will happen? Will my colleague get ahead of me? What if I did not perform well? Will my salary get deducted? So the cluster of thoughts which is running in your mind. What if I have to attend some event tomorrow or some family function tomorrow? And the moment you enter into your house, because you're thinking all those unwanted thoughts in your mind, you burn out and you break down in front of your families, in front of your relatives. Anger. Anger is not a disease. Like stress is a byproduct of your thinking only. And therefore, when you overstress, your performance sharply declines. You get equipped with body ailments. You start to feel low, demotivated. You start to feel failure in life. Right? My dear friends, if you know what to do, you have clear vision, clear plans, then there will be no space for stress to spread its legs in your life. Do you know who is the personality depicted in the slide? Can anyone tell me his name? Who is the personality?
He's Stephen Hawking.
Summarize that input that
Yes.
Stephen Hawking.
Stephen Hawking, absolutely correct. Thank you. Stephen Hawking, a name that resonates the power of mind and victory of intellect over adversity. He has been an inspiration incarnate to many. As ladies and gentlemen, he survived a condition that seemed spine breaking. Just imagine if he would have been stressed all along his life at that point of time, then we would have been deprived of his contribution towards the society. In spite of such adversity, in spite of his neuron disease, my dear friends, he didn't give up. He didn't lose hope. He could also have attempted suicide, thinking that I'm not good, I am paralyzed, what I will do in life. But he took that adversity as an opportunity. He found an opportunity to do something for the society in spite of such a terrible condition. And therefore, he is truly successful in life. Success, the most hard-working 7-letter word, which is a dream of every individual in life. Everyone quests for success in his or her life in some or the other way. But success, ladies and gentlemen, requires patience, calmness, and a relaxed state of mind. You be a student, you be an entrepreneur, or you be a businessman. You truly are successful when you have a relaxed state of mind. But what today's generation do, they tend to evaluate success with money. If you have more money, you are truly successful. If you have a 4 or 10-storied building, you are truly successful. My dear, even a small person is also successful. But it requires efforts. It requires patience. It requires calmness. The diamond, ladies and gentlemen, is nothing but a coal which is under great pressure. The gold, the king of metals, it is formed by a lot of heat pressure. But it is gold because it had the resilience, the power to manage to sustain the pressure. Diamond's worth is more than the coal because diamond has the power to control the pressure, and so it is rich in value. But the sad part with our lives, with human lives, my dear friends, is that we want everything in our life to be messed up. And then we are expecting a grand success to welcome, which is not at all possible, ladies and gentlemen. Just go back to your childhood days when you started to learn to ride a bicycle or to learn to walk. How many times did you fall? Did you give up? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, did you give up during your childhood days when you were learning?
No.
No. Instead, you got up and you tried again. You fall, but you again stood up and you learned it. You were successful at that time. Do you know why? Because your response to that situation, to that learning, or to that adversity was positive. You were enthusiastic to learn something new. You did not compare yourself with others. Comparison, as the word has come, comparison, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, is also one of the contributing factor in your stress. We tend to compare ourselves with others. But on what basis? Every individual has its own capacity, has its own caliber, has its own perception, has its own mindset. Then how are you comparing? Someone's mic is has turned on. Please unmute. Thank you. You didn't compare yourself, right? Why do we compare? On what basis we compare? As I had mentioned, everyone has different mindset, everyone has different perspective. What the way you do the thing might not be, the other person way of doing. Somebody is good at taxation, but I may be not. I may be proficient in auditing, and somebody may be proficient in accounts. Then on what basis you are comparing all three? And what happens when you compare? You tend to become like that person. Why? We want to be unique. We don't want to be on the same line. We want to stand out from the crowd. Now it's upon you. You want to stand out or you want to be the part of the crowd. Coming back to your childhood, you didn't compare yourself with other child that yaar wo to dekho abhi to chalna bhi seekh gaya and I'm still falling and rising and falling and rising and I'm learning bicycles. वो तो साइकिल को उड़ा रहा है, चला रहा है. You didn't compare because you had enthusiasm to learn something new. You have the zeal to learn something new. Your mindset was positive. And that positive stress, as I mentioned in my previous slide, stress motivated you to achieve your dream. And you overcome that adversity. My dear friends, you are successful in true sense when you get inner peace, when you're satisfied, when you see joy in every effort that you put in to achieve your goal, in every small step. But what we do, we forget the present and we are working, we are seeing the future, we are creating an imaginary world. And the moment you switch from your present world to the imaginary world, your goal, your vision to success, or your, I can say, your train of success, it gets derailed. And you end up taking too much of stress in life. Look at these two freedom fighters, ladies and gentlemen. Mahatma Gandhi and B.R. Ambedkar. And what a coincidence that today it is Mahatma Gandhi's 152nd birth anniversary and we are remembering him. Mahatma Gandhi faced insurmountable odds, insurmountable and tremendous opposition during his freedom struggle, during his freedom movement. But still, he fought for the country, he fought for India. His contributions like Salt Satyagraha and Dandi movement, the Quit India movement, were some of his successful contributions to the Indian independence. Another personality, B.R. Ambedkar, coming from a Dalit background. Now just imagine, ladies and gentlemen, Dalit people at those point of time, those days back, pre-independence period, they were not even seen with respectable eyes, right? They were considered as a low-class people, but still, he made our constitution. Now just visualize if these freedom fighters would have taken a step back, considering the harsh situation during that time, or taking the stress, overstressing that time, thinking that this is not possible, or how will I do it? How will I complete it? Then, ladies and gentlemen, we still would have been under the control of the Britishers. Not only these freedom fighters, there are a plethora of freedom fighters whose contributions to the Indian independence cannot be overlooked. In the words of Robert Collier, Success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out. Small efforts by our freedom fighters, by Mahatma Gandhi, by B.R. Ambedkar, by Lal Bahadur Shastri, or be it any other freedom fighters. Their small efforts paved the way for our India to become independent. They've cleared the path of success, and success at that time was to get India independent from the rule of Britishers, right? So efforts, ladies and gentlemen, like sunscreen in the summer needs to be applied consistently. What happens when you don't apply sunscreen? Your body get tan, right? You start feeling burning in your body, right? So efforts the same way needs to be applied consistently. To achieve your goals, we need to put efforts each and every day. But what many people do, they will put an effort for a short time, and when their effort does not immediately pay off, or they become distracted by life, as I mentioned, they tend to switch from the reality to the imaginary world. They stop putting the daily effort needed to finish and succeed the goal, and then they are complaining that our deadlines have not been met. We are unable to complete the targets on time. We have short time for the preparations. My dear, you haven't utilized the time properly. When you haven't put your 100% efforts, then how can you expect success in your life? Now, these two personalities are in front of your screen. Again, a question. Who is the first personality mentioned, or is the first personality that you can see it on your slide? Anyone? The first personality, a very famous personality. Who is the one? Who is
She is Mirabai Chanu.
Mirabai Chanu? Exactly. Thank you. She is Mirabai Chanu, silver medalist of Tokyo Olympics. Now she is in that profession, ladies and gentlemen, please note, she is in that profession, weightlifting, which requires tremendous amount of stress. Agree? Now, if there stress plays an important role, but if you do it in excess, if you take excess of the stress, you will end up only breaking and torturing your muscles and back. But if it is adequate amount, if it is in consistently applied, and if it is an adequate amount, you achieve your goal. And what Mirabai Chanu did, she handled the stress so effectively that she's able to secure silver medal for our country. Who is the second personality depicted in the picture? Anyone? Any idea? The second known face, and people from Jodhpur can very well identify this personality. Who is the second personality being shown in your slide? Anyone from Jodhpur? Any idea? Any idea who is she? She has been in news many a times. Not even in Jodhpur, I think from Rajasthan also, many of you have known. Who is she?
Safai Karmachari and got selected in RS.
Yes. Thank you so much, sir. Exactly. She is Asha Kandara, once a sanitation worker and now deputy collector of Jodhpur. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, once a sanitation worker and now she is a deputy collector of Jodhpur. In an interview given by her after she cleared her RS examination, she mentions that she had to go through a lot from a broken marriage, caste discrimination to gender bias. Note that, ladies and gentlemen, from broken marriage to caste discrimination to gender bias. What an irony! After so many years of from Indian independence, still we're talking about the discrimination. But she never let herself down in sorrow and instead decided to fight back. She further stated that a few years after separating from her husband, she decided to pursue her education. She completed her graduation in 2016. Living with her father, she always has a dream of becoming financially independent. She appeared for the exam, as a result of which, for the sweeper for Jodhpur Municipal Corporation in 2018, and she passed it. Then she began preparing for the RAS examination along with performing her duty as a sweeper. Now, after reading her interview, now just visualize how much stress she had gone through in her life. Broken marriage, caste discrimination, working as a sanitation worker, but still has an enthusiasm, a zeal to stand on her own foot, to prove something to the society. She did not let her mind, her emotion to imbalance. After so much of sufferings, and as a result of which, she realigned her vision, she adjusted her focus, and she now is a deputy collector of Jodhpur. So from a sanitation worker to a deputy collector of Jodhpur, her journey is an inspiration who lost hopes in their life after a small failure. Ladies and gentlemen, even we need to pass 3 levels of examination to get a CA degree. So just imagine, life will give you hundreds of examinations. It will put forward hundreds and thousands of questions in front of you. Answers of might you know or you don't know. But losing hope, losing the patience, losing the calmness is not the solution to the problem. The moment your focus diverts from your goal, your vision, your success rate comes to a low level gradually. So don't dig a hole so deep that even you can't get out of it. We have a habit of, taking the corpse out from the grave. कहते हैं ना हिंदी में गड़े मूर्ति उखाड़ना. Taking the corpse out from the grave. I don't know why people take that corpse. Let him rest in peace. Why to disturb that corpse? But no, we need to talk about those unwanted happenings in our life. We need to again and again recall those sad moments from our life or happier moments of our life. But we do not want to put our efforts into the present event. And then we are attempting some dangerous issue. We are attempting some, dangerous steps in our life, which is ruining ourselves only. So what is the solution? How you can avoid stress? The very first thing, ladies and gentlemen, is that you cannot avoid stress. Stress, as I already mentioned in the beginning, you cannot avoid. You cannot be fully stress-free in life. Definitely, there will be a stress in your life, but that will be the positive stress. And the part is that we overlook that positive stress and we majorly talk about the negative stress. Right? When we talk about stress, we say, oh, आज हमको stress है इस कारण की वजह से है या उस कारण की वजह से है, because something negative has happened in our life. Something unnatural has happened in our life, and we talk about that. But we forget about the positive stress. So you cannot completely avoid the stress, but there are steps to manage it effectively and efficiently. The very first is to put the problem in perspective. Maybe you are disappointed because you did not get good jobs, you did not get good grades in your examination, you failed in your examinations, or disappointed for some or the other reasons. Feeling stressed is a natural reaction. There's no doubt in that. Even when I got an invitation from Cgst Jodhpur branch for this session, even I was stressed as how I will prepare in a very short span of time, what I will speak on, how will I deliver my seminar. But that was a positive stress. And that helped me to focus upon the content. What should I prepare? Right. If I would have ended up taking the unnecessary stress that how I will do it, what will happen if I get distracted during my presentation, or what will happen if my slide stops working or my network connection is poor. That is the talk of the future. So why to waste your present thinking for the future? Planning is no problem. Planning is good. We plan for future. I plan that I will be joining this session. I will be speaking this and this content. I will depict this example. I planned. But I did not stressed out that what I will say, what I will speak. Tab ki tab dekhi jayegi. Plan. You plan and you execute. As I already mentioned, success demand efforts. If we will not put the efforts, then how will you get success in life? Success is not getting 100% marks in your mark sheets. Success is not getting 100 on 100 or getting a very good job with a high pay scale. That is the result of your efforts. We have named it as a success, but that is the result of your focus, your efforts that you have put in to solve the problem. And therefore, you get through the problem so well because your efforts were 100%. Why do some people fail in exams and some people clear with very good grades? It's just because the matter of the efforts and preparation. There might be less preparation. There might be less efforts which you have put in. So you have the next attempt, you have the next time. But no, what we do? We have to take the stress. Arey, kyun nahi pass hua is baar? I have given my 100%. You say you have given your 100%. Your mind says you have given your 100%, but your heart tells a certain different story. From within you, or you yourself know how much efforts you have put in while you are preparing for your exams or while you're preparing for your task for meeting deadlines. So put the problem in perspective. Take a step back and ask yourself, will this issue upon which you are stressed, or I can say too stressed, over stressed, will matter in 5 years from now? The answer is no. Use 5x5 rule. If it does not matter in 5 years, do not spend more than 5 minutes or 5 hours thinking upon it. Because the more and more you think, the more and more you will take a hold for yourself to get deep inside it. And you will be behind the bars of your own thoughts, and which will definitely be negative. Because we're surrounded by negative externalities, we're surrounded by negative atmosphere. We need to change our perspective. We need to change the way we think, the way we look the situation, the way we respond to an adversity. And therefore we need to accept the things that is beyond our control, which is the second step. There are certain things which are beyond our control. Many people say that you're not successful because your luck was not with you, or you were not very, you were not very efficient, or it was not your time. Apna time aayega, kab aayega, you don't know. Time is not in your control. Luck is not in your control. But what is in your control, ladies and gentlemen, is just only efforts. The way you think, the way you see the situation, and you react to the situation. Reaction will only matter whether you are positively stressed or overstressed. So accept the changes and move forward. Express your feelings, the third step. Many a times we are alone. We wanted to be alone because of some or the other incident happening in life. We want to be alone, we are depressed, we are lonely. We don't want to communicate with others. We don't want to share our feelings with others. And that's the biggest drawback, which takes you more and more into the river of stress. And so deep that even your oxygen mask will not help. So therefore it becomes necessary to express your feelings to your parents. Talk to your parents, talk to your mentor, your guru, your guide, who can motivate you, who can guide you. Share your thoughts, share your feelings that this is my problem, or I'm feeling low because of this adversity, or this event that happened somewhere down in my life that shook me completely. Ask them what to do, take their guidance. They will provide you the guidance, they will give you the guidance in the matter where you and your mind is doing a tug of war. And to stop this tug of war, one of the best way is to meditate and exercise daily, which is the another step to avoid the stress. Exercise and meditation is one of the crucial factors which is not only strengthens our mind, or not only it makes you physically fit, but it also establishes a strong connection between your mind and your body. If you know how to manage your sophisticated system of your body, then you can establish a strong connection, you can establish a strong relationship with your mind and body. When your mind, when your body, when your emotions are in line, then there will be no space for negative stress or excess of stress that demotivates you, that takes you down. Practicing meditation, according to science, also has been proven that it has brought a sudden shift, not only in the thinking capacity of the individuals, but it helped improving the life of individuals in number of ways. It only requires 5 minutes to perform the meditation, to do daily exercise. Exercise not only going for a gym and lifting heavy weights, that will make your body strong. Your mind What about your mind? It is something that you need to do it for yourself. There's no gym that can make your mind strong. But there's one place, or the one thing that can make your mind strong is only meditation and calmness, which will help you to overcome the anxiety, the fear, the stress. Exercising daily and meditation, according to the science, releases a happy hormone. Can anyone tell me the name of that happy hormone? Anyone knows what that happy hormone called as? Any idea? Any idea? That happy hormone is called as dopamine. So when it releases inside your body, you feel excited, you feel happy. Your way of thinking expands. Your mind relaxed. Mind becomes relaxed. Right? This is the small verse, the small poem which I have self-composed for the motivation, which is: the road was unseen, unheard. Yet there was a curiosity to take the ride, to hear the sound. The road was miles long, echoing voice, no noise. Yet the breeze tell a story. To pack bags and measure the road. Memories to create that don't fade. To enjoy the wind and jump high. The road was clear to touch the sky. And when the cluster of negative thoughts removes from your mind, when you become calm, when you become patient, when you see things with positive attitude, when you take the things with positiveness, your life, as this road is clear, you can see in the slide, your life the same way becomes clear. And the success as sky is no longer to reach. But for that, we need to change our mindset. We need to shift our mindset from negativity to positivity. That is difficult, but challenges makes us more strong. In this uncertain world where everything is negative, if we see some positivity, some opportunity in that negativity, then the road to success is not very long. Now, after so long deliberation has been given on this success and stress, now it's time for some stress reduction activities. Now, some activities that we're going to perform, and I expect and I hope that each and every participant of this webinar will going to perform this with me. And after performing these activities, these exercises, you will definitely feel a change, even a little bit change in your mind, in your body. Your body will be relaxed. So what you need to do is, wherever you are sitting, just keep sitting, relax yourself. And I request to please everyone perform this. The YouTube viewers, live streamers, along with the participants on Zoom, please. Relax yourself, relax your arms, your hands, relax your body, and close your eyes. Now focus on your lower abdomen, that is your belly, and imagine a small balloon in that space. Now breathe in slowly and deeply through nostrils. Slowly and deeply through your nostrils, imagining that balloon is inflating, it is getting bigger and it is growing. Hold for a few seconds. Now slowly relax and exhale through the mouth, not through the nostrils, exhale through the mouth. And imagine the balloon is gently deflating, your belly is softly deflating, getting smaller. And while blowing out, blow out as if you are blowing out a candle. Let's do it one more time. Inhale with your nostril, hold for a few seconds, and exhale through your mouth. Perform it 5 more times now itself, at this particular moment. Everyone completed this? Everyone has gone through this activity? Any change that you have felt, even a slightest change that you have felt in your mind, please share. Some calmness or some relaxation in your mind. I hope you all have performed this exercise. Any little calmness. Anyone?
Focusing from somewhere to another. I changed my focus.
Okay, yes. So you were focusing towards your own body from the negative externalities. Your focus shifted from the outside world towards your own self. And that is where you establish a close connection with your mind and body. The second exercise is visual imagery. Before I begin with this, just visualize this scene. This is a beach. Fix it in your mind. I want everyone to please fix this image in your mind. Okay, now close your eyes. After fixing this in your mind, close your eyes again. Now visualize this beach. The sun is shining warmly. Now, as I speak, you need to feel each and every line, each and every incident, right? The sun is shining warmly. The breeze coming from the ocean is soft and warm. Palm trees are overhead. Imagine walking barefoot in the warm sand. Feel your feet sink in the sand with each step. Walk toward the water's edge and let water roll over your feet. Jump in the water. It is warm, gentle, and very refreshing. Come out of water and walk to your big beach towel. Lay down and relax. Rest for a while in all the peace and beauty surrounding you. Imagine how it looks, how it sounds, how it smells. Breathe in deeply with the warm ocean air. Stay as long as you like. When you are ready to leave, go to the edge of water and throw in anything that has been bothering you, anything you wish to get rid of in your life, anything you are feeling sad or angry about, problems in home, violence in your neighborhood, bullies, issues with friends, anything which is burdening you, which is bothering you, just go and throw it in the water. Imagine and visualize it as a big rock, a heavy bag over your shoulders. Throw it in the ocean as far as you can and watch it sink and get taken by the waves. When the visit is done, be thankful for the release of the burden, the problem, the worry. Then walk peacefully back through the warm sand and take a rest on your beach towel. Now open up your eyes. Now tell me, do you feel more relaxed than before? More calm? How did you feel after throwing that burden into the water? Did you feel relaxed after this? I hope everyone has come out from that beach visuals. After throwing your big burden into the river, how did you feel? And even how did you feel after doing this, after throwing your burdens? Did you feel more relaxed? Did you feel more calm than before?
Yes, Aman.
Yes. This was the initiative behind this exercise. This is now your journey to the success. Clear without any stress. Now just see, after throwing that big burden, big bag of your burden into the river, how calm, how relaxed you feel. So this is what we need to do it in our life. We need to throw that unwanted burden of stress from our life to that river and let it get carried away by the waves. Come back and relax and prepare for your next event. And this will surely lead you towards your goal and you will achieve a far success in your life. Thank you so much. I hope this has been turned out to be fruitful for each and every one of the participants and for the viewers as well. Thank you so much for this wonderful session. Over to you, Rahman sir.
Thank you, Aman, for your wonderful session on stress and failure. Now I request Cgst Chairman and Vice Chairman Sedar Kutai sir for vote of thanks. Sir, over to you. Hello. Hello.
How are you, Ji? Am I audible?
Hi, sir, you're on.
On behalf of Jodhpur branch of Cgst of ICI, I would like to give a hearty vote of thanks to Anmol and Aman for enlightening us on GST as well as on success. हम लोगों को स्ट्रेस साइड में रख देना चाहिए, होता नहीं है. कोशिश तो कर सकते हैं, जितनी ज्यादा कोशिश करेंगे उतना हम अपने आप को काम बना पाएंगे. बहुत सारी ब्लॉक क्रेडिट्स है, उनको एक्ट में तो चेंज नहीं कर सकते, बट प्लान कर सकते हैं कि कैसे कौन से अपने क्लाइंट को बचाएं. कल शायद मैं टीवी देख रहा था और एक स्टोरी मैंने सुनी थी. उसमें ये था, उन्होंने बोला हमारे गांव में न ब्रिज है न बोट है. तो ये दोनों नहीं है तो हम उसको नेगेटिविटी के रूप में नहीं लेते, हम उसको एज ए पॉजिटिविटी के रूप में लेते हैं. कैसे? तो उस बहाने से हमने स्विमिंग सीख ली. हमारे पूरे गांव में सबको स्विमिंग आती है. ये शायद कौन बनेगा करोड़पति पे ही था शायद.
Yes, it was the experience shared by a very
Tripathi.
famous actor, Pankaj Tripathi sir.
Yes, I heard yesterday. Now I would request all the students be part of this event, you can get a chance. You are getting a chance. You will get success definitely in future by spending few time or few moments here. Be a speaker is a unique initiative by us. I request all to be a part of this event. Now, on 7th, we are coming with a group discussion, GD program. It's a physical program. I would like to request all the listeners be part of this program and take this opportunity. It will definitely help in your upcoming interviews as well as on various platform. Last but not least, I would like to thank Mohibur for managing all these events successfully. Over to you, Mohibur.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Anmol.
Discuss करते हैं.
Thank you, Anmol, and thank you, Aman, for this wonderful session. Thank you.